Welcome to Brightside Brews, where we serve up more than just coffee. We pour into your passion, your purpose, and your partnership. Whether you're building a business, growing in love, or chasing your dreams, we're here to fuel your journey with inspiration, real talk, and a little bit of caffeine. So grab your favorite cup, take a sip, and let's brew something amazing together. We're your hosts, Ericka,
And me?
you
Hi.
JJ, Juan Jose.
Hi,
Or
JJ. Yeah.
Juan Jose,
But nobody calls me Juan Jose.
because sometimes it's too difficult for people to say.
No, it's because folks are used to calling people persons, everybody, one name. So I go by Juan Jose, and then people will call me Juan or Jose. Never Juan Jose. I like to be called Juan Jose. Done.
When we first met
One and done.
at the coffee shop, JJ introduced himself as Juan Jose, but then I couldn't hear him.
So I
And I
said
think
this
he thought
gringuita.
he thought I couldn't speak Spanish. So he's like, JJ. And I was like, oh yeah, I know. I can hear, I can understand that.
Are we gonna step right in or?
So we are here today because JJ has been wanting to start a podcast. Why did you want to start a podcast?
Why did I want to start? I want to tell our story. I want to tell our story. I think more people should be communicating how to start a business. Right?
Yeah.
And also I want to turn
It's not
tell
easy, but it's
from
worth it.
a couple of different angles. I want to tell the story from a couple's perspective because we are doing this together. These would not exist without her brains, by the way. So,
Couple of goals.
so that's
And we get that a lot too, that people say that we're a power couple.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, you guys are couple goals. I mean, it's not always like sunshine and rainbows behind the scenes, obviously, but
we're very successful. We have a
yeah,
successful business. We have a successful startup, I think.
of
So I think
course.
we should communicate that for smaller businesses or just even people that want to start something.
And another reason we get a lot of people that reach out to us, a lot of coffee companies that say, that want to learn from us. Shout out to On the Go, Joe.
They're awesome. They're
Yeah,
awesome.
they had a leadership retreat and they wanted to talk to us,
Yep.
which was really nice. And JJ has been kind of a mentor to some people too. So we thought
How it
maybe we
happened.
share it to
I'm
whoever
learning from
wants
it.
to listen.
But yeah, the idea is to inspire. The idea is to communicate, to inform, and just make it fun. Make it in a fun way. Also, I want to do this. I want to grow into being a better communicator. So I think this will force me to it because I don't want
Me
to
too.
learn in the other way. I just
Me
want to do
too.
things. I just throw myself into the fire and then we figure out how we do it later. Well, let's dive right into why or how or when we
How
started.
did we meet?
We're telling the story of how Brightside came to inception. So after I met Ericka, when
We were dating already.
we were dating, I was working in oil and gas as a full time and also in
I
a
was
coffee shop.
too.
Yes.
Oil and gas, not coffee.
Yes. And I was working in a coffee shop part time because why not? Coffee is amazing. Now, when I first moved to Houston, I accidentally found a part time job because I wanted to be social. I worked for Toot Sweet as a weekend barista, and I met Ericka there. I met a bunch of amazing people in between them. This most amazing woman, and a story of how we met will come, I promise. But when we started dating, she kept telling me, "Hey, you should start your own business. You should do it. You have what it takes. You have good work ethics. It can work." All I knew up to that point was coffee shops.
Yeah.
So then you blew my mind when you came up with the Instagram.
First, so the reason why I wanted JJ to start his own business was because he was just spending all his time at the coffee shops. We would have like coffee dates, and that would just be me like
Hanging out.
just watching him do barista things all day.
I enjoyed having a groupie.
I was not a groupie because I was your girlfriend.
Okay.
If not, if I wouldn't have done that, man, like when would we have time to
Sure.
hang out?
So in order to make more time to hang out, you said, hey, let's launch our own business. How's that going? How much time do we have now?
Oh my God, no time. But
But now we
yeah,
do it together, which is
yes,
fun.
for sure. Now
That's
it's
another
fun.
thing. Doing this together is also gonna help us, force us to, you know,
Yeah,
figure
phase
all the
out, go
things
into
out.
the fire.
Yeah, because Ericka still has her full time. But
Oh my gosh.
so going back to 2019, I was working a lot in oil and gas and also the coffee shop. So I didn't have days off. Ericka, she had the brilliant idea of doing a mobile coffee
Well,
business.
first I was thinking coffee truck,
Yes.
right? That was my first like mobile business thought was
Mhm.
coffee truck. And but then we found out that the investment was so much.
Yeah, we did some
Um,
research and
yeah,
then it
because
was
like
75, 80,000.
purchasing the truck at that time, I don't know how much it could be now.
Yeah, a lot more.
We
I
could
still,
ask some of our friends that have trucks.
well, they all got in earlier.
So I don't know how much like food trucks could be worth, but it just seemed like a lot to go through, and it was a large investment.
It was going to be a lot.
So that's when I started looking kind of on Instagram, just searching like coffee, mobile coffee, like stuff like that. And at that time in 2019, there weren't a lot of like mobile coffee businesses out
No,
there.
there were just a few.
I think kind of nationally, like it
Oh,
didn't become a trend until later.
like a
Um,
Corbin?
yeah. And yeah, so that's when I actually saw our friends at Coffee Cart Nashville.
Yes.
I saw their bar and I was like,
Uh,
look, we can do something like
I
this.
mean,
What I found, Coffee
and
Cart Nashville.
you lit a light bulb in my brain. I didn't know this whole thing
And JJ
existed.
went into robot mode, beep, boop, beep, and was like,
Well,
business plan.
I figured I've owned small businesses before, but I wanted to do it right this time. And all the books tell you have a plan, right? All the books tell you crunch the numbers, develop a strategy, build your plan, build a 5-year plan just in
Mm.
case. So with my background in accounting, I started, I Googled how to make a business plan and I made a business plan. I read a bunch of material into how to make that business plan right. And then I get obsessed. I got obsessed. It was all I thought.
I don't think JJ slept for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was obsessed. I was obsessed. It needed to work. And although it wasn't a very large investment to start, I didn't have the money.
I think it was just what, 20,000?
But I didn't have it. I had a little bit of consumer debt. I wasn't used to having that kind of thought. I didn't have a $20,000 to invest. So I remember you said,
And I was just his girlfriend, so I was like, I'm not.
no. No, of course, yeah, I wasn't going to ask you, but you did something though. You asked me to pray about it.
Oh, duh. Yeah. I
Yeah.
did the best thing
Yes.
you could possibly do in that
Yes, you
moment.
did. I
Yeah.
wasn't a Christian then. I was very skeptical of the whole deal, but I was obsessed. I was going crazy. I literally couldn't. I would sleep 1 or 2 hours, and I would talk to many people about it. My mentors, my family, my friends. I would just send them a copy and say, "Hey, can you help me make these look better? Or what do you think it needs?" I went to the bank and I asked them, "Hey," and they didn't even open the thing, the folder. I had it in a folder, all printed, all nice. My spreadsheets
Did
were
you take your suit?
there. No, I didn't take my suit,
Oh.
but I showed it. Well, I brought it,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Yeah, no, we like your credit. How's your credit?" And then it just started a few years ago because I had became just became a citizen, so I was a resident for just a number of years until then.
Yeah.
So I didn't exist before
Yeah.
2012. So my credit was very new in the whole scheme of things. So the bank wasn't going to give me any
Hmm.
money. Now they're begging for it. Now they say, "Hey, take my money." I said, "Oh, you didn't want me then? I'm not budging."
You prayed about it.
Yes, I did. I followed your advice. I prayed about it,
Thank the Lord.
and
That came from God.
of course it came from God, but I didn't know
Mm.
then. I just prayed, and I for the first time in my life, I prayed with intention. I didn't even know how to pray. I just asked God, help me. I need help. I need you to either help me make this happen or show me a way. I remember thinking, show me a way, or actually saying it for the first time. I felt a little weird talking to the air. I'd never done it before, like with intention. Or please take it, remove it from my head because I'm going crazy. I can't think about anything else. I was already lacking at work. I got in trouble with my boss for
Stacy.
just because my mind was somewhere else. I was just going crazy. I said, I'm going mad. Either show me the way or take these out of my head. And I think 10 days later, sister called me and said, hey, I love your business plan. Can I give you some money?
And then not just her, like a couple of other people. Shout out to your people that helped you.
Yes. Thank you, Blanca. Oh my God. MVP. She helped me. Dad helped me. And sister. It was the combination of amazing people and God put it in their hearts and it just happened. So I would say very importantly, build a plan if you have a dream of doing a business because it's easy to have a dream. A dream is a dream until you put it in paper and then it becomes a plan and it has to be actionable. I knew my experience by then in coffee taught me, hey, this is what you need equipment wise, process wise. And my background in accounting taught me this is how much you need to make that happen. So once we got the funds, we went shopping. That was the beginning. We started in the equipment.
And thankfully, with JJ's background, he had all of the knowledge for what machines to buy.
Yes
Oh,
and no.
and the simple display cart that we saw
Yes, that was cool. That was
that
just
was like
starting.
already ready, like prepared for the coffee
Yeah,
bar world.
and still is. It's just 3 times more expensive than when they finished with it,
Yeah.
which is fine.
That just shows like all of our growth.
Yeah,
And so when we finally launched, and this was 2020 already.
we got everything at the end of 2019. We received our machines. Remember in my apartment when we got the card?
Yeah.
Just put it together, and then we had amazing
Yeah,
coffee.
we would just make coffee like every day. The thing was, we did have a business plan, but we had everything, and then we were kind of like, all right, now what? Like
Yes, yes.
we
Nobody
had
tells you, so I had to Google. Okay, what do you do once you want to actually do business? And then you got to start an LLC. You got to get your tax ID. You got to apply for any permits. And that was a tough one because we didn't know exactly where to go, how to do it.
yeah.
But we figured it out and we launched in February of 2020. I traded in my car. I traded in my Corolla for a van because I said, I'm
Oh
going
my
to do
gosh.
it all
We
in.
would ride in the little what we call the Brightside Mobile
Yes, I still have it. We still
minivan,
have
which
it.
is still going strong.
Yes.
But then I was like, let's go camping. And
We
then
went,
so
oh
we would
my
just
God.
take it to random things, and then he would pull up in my house
In the
with
little
the little
van. Oh,
van
yeah.
while it's like making noise in the background with like the gated the what do you call
The
that?
ramp.
Yeah, the ramp.
Well, that
Oh my
was
gosh.
my transportation for
Yeah.
3 years.
So JJ, I mean, the sacrifices that we've had to make, like
That's
JJ
not too
had,
bad. That's not too bad.
well, I mean, you didn't have a normal car until a little while ago.
Yeah.
Now you have a truck, but I mean, you were driving a little right side mobile
Yeah.
everywhere.
That was fun. Well, it had to
We would
happen.
show up on dates to restaurants. I
Eh,
don't think we've ever valeted though.
once.
We did.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But that was great. The the important well, something that happened was a little thing called COVID.
Oh, yeah, duh.
We
So
bought the
COVID
van.
happened.
I bought the van, and a week later, the world shut down. Dun, dun, dun.
So COVID happened, and then we were like, okay, well, now what for real? Like, what do we do?
What do we do?
And
Well,
JJ
I
got really discouraged
I
because
was
he didn't
so
know what to
disappointed.
do.
Well, it's important to understand or to explain what was my train of thought. Oh, at that time, I really thought that the angle was to sell drinks.
Yeah.
That's all I
Mhm.
knew. All I knew was retail in the coffee service. So I gravitated towards trying to find an angle to find markets or to find a point of sale, someone, even if I could install the bar in the street and start selling drinks. I
Mhm.
thought that was going to be profitable. Little did I know, I didn't really understood. I didn't really caught it until I think it was the summer. I think you grabbed me and showed me and said, okay, what is happening? Why is this not making money? You need these to start making money. You have amazing equipment. We are having amazing coffee, but what?
Yeah, I was like, let's just go.
So
And then I
was
started looking at markets. We also got inspiration from some of our other coffee bar friends
yes.
in Iowa. Shout out to Northern Vessel.
Yeah.
TJ actually ended up selling us his bar.
Before then, or right around that time, we were looking for angles and you found markets.
Yeah.
You found those markets, and that's how we started. We started doing all the
Well,
revenue from
markets, but then
2020,
also
2020 was markets.
and cold brew
And
deliveries.
then we started pivoting. Okay, how do we do cold brew, and how we figure out ways to bottle? So I did a couple things. I approached. We found Corbin in Dallas, and I showed him an email. I remember sending him an email saying, "Hey, I'm doing this in Houston. Do you have a moment to chat? I would love to pick your brain." And he was amazing and said, "Yes, let's chat." And he told me, "Listen, you need to be doing private events. Stop these market situations. It's not going to bring you anywhere." We were
I mean,
stubborn.
it works for
So,
some people though. It
true,
just
it
depends
has it. Well,
on
it
what you
depends
want to
what
do.
you want to do at the moment. For the idea that what we really had in mind, we wanted to grow and try to. I remember very early on, my brain switched to, okay, let's get off the retail space in coffee and let's move towards the event space. Something that Corbin told me, very, very important, said, we're not coffee companies. We're not coffee businesses. We're hospitality businesses. We're service. We're events.
Entertainment.
And I remember that stuck because you
Mhm.
need to find and there's always evolution, but once you have a company, once you have an idea, once you have somewhat of a goal, you have to figure out what kind of company are you? What kind of services are you providing? Or what kind of goods are you making? But narrow it down and figure out your niche, figure out where do you fall. And that takes a while. That was the beginning of, okay, let's start thinking. So all 2020 was markets, but then we did our first wedding. Remember how excited we
Yeah.
were?
We were like, oh my gosh,
Oh, that was fun.
finally.
Then when we started doing events, we started doing research. We already knew who our competitors were, but we wanted to understand the advantages. Okay, how do we figure these out? So that's what we did. That was the next plan. That was the next
Well,
step.
then that same year in 2020, I started my MBA. And that's when I started getting like a lot of ideas. So I started taking strategic management, marketing, and those were the classes I think that impacted me a lot, even negotiation. Um, so I took a lot of those courses and everything that I learned, I didn't even apply it to my job at the time. I where was I working at? Oil and gas. I didn't apply it to my job at the time. I ended up just putting everything into the business, like in what I
Well,
could.
thank you, honey. It worked.
I mean, and it still works today.
Oh yeah, it's gonna still
Yeah.
work. What do you think was something that stuck from 2020?
Something that stuck from 2020. I think just being adaptable, like being able, like we took something,
Yes.
a brand new business that was, just an idea, and we didn't let COVID bring us down.
It was
That
scary times. It
yeah.
was it
I
was
mean, we didn't know what to
so
expect.
weird.
And
Nobody.
even from our own jobs, were kind of iffy. Like, what do we do? Like, you weren't in the office, you know? And so I even think that downtime helped us because we were able to dedicate more time into thinking, like, what's next?
I love adaptability. Adaptability is a huge thing because you have to be quick. Life is going to throw you a ton of curveballs, especially in business.
For sure.
So
So you
you
have
have
to
to,
be ready to like pivot and not let it drown you. You have to be
yes.
ready to just like kind of think what's next. And if you're prepared and you have a business that's resilient,
Well, if you have an idea that
um,
is, if you have a resilient personality and you just don't want to give up,
yeah.
you have an idea also. I mean, it also helped us that we were doing these part time and we had our full
Oh,
times.
true. Thank God we were in that situation.
Yes.
But I feel like if we weren't, we would have done everything we possibly could, you
To
know?
make it work.
Oh, yeah,
When
because we have that.
when your livelihood depends on it,
Oh,
then you
yeah,
have to.
for sure.
So that there's no other
Mm,
option. I think this is a good moment to wrap this one up. I think it was amazing material for our first one. How do you
I feel great. We got our first podcast over with,
We did it?
and we hope to do more podcasts. On
Yes.
the next episode, we're going to talk about how we actually got into the events
Yeah,
industry. Yeah,
definitely stick around.
stick around. And as always, you bring the love, and we'll bring the coffee.
Yes. If you
Cheers.
like us, cheers. If you enjoy these, subscribe. And also, if you want to try our beans, order in the link
Somewhere.
somewhere.